Hello, and thanks for joining me as I follow along with Junk Journal July 2024. And this is hosted by Meg Journals, and I have a link in my description box to her video on everything that you need to know about Junk Journal July. So the prompt that I'm working on today is window, and I had an idea of what I wanted to do. It was a pretty basic idea, but it's one that is one of my favorites anyway, and that is to just cut a frame, a rectangular frame, and make it a pocket and stick a tag that can be shown through the opening there. And so that was what I was going to do on the back of this postcard, because this is actually just a journaling card from a paper collection, and I had two of those. And so I cut the quote out of the middle and was just going to go from there. But I was watching this morning a video from Ricky Journal, and she was the collaborator for day 7, which is window. And so I'll put a link to her video in the description box. But oh my gosh, her page was so beautiful. And I was totally inspired. And I thought, I'm not going to do just a simple rectangle. I want to do something a little more challenging for me. So I'm going to give it a try. So I cut a piece of scrap paper so that you could easily see what I've done. I've already started with my project here, and I didn't want to do it over. I wasn't sure if it was going to work out, but so far it's working out. So fingers crossed on that. I still have one more experiment to go. So I had a little bit different situation than Inda. She had a die cut window, and she needed to cut the opening in her journal to fit her pre-cut window. Well, I have a pre-cut opening, so I need to find a window that fits an opening, which is a little more difficult because it's pretty much asking for a custom size. So the only way I could think that would really work is to find a design in my Silhouette store that I could manipulate and make it fit. So I found this window here and was able to make that opening size there the same size as this. Well, actually, I came in just a little bit so that it would cover up the edges. So you always want this opening of the top piece to be a little bit smaller than the opening here. It's just easier. And then also, I really didn't want my window to be that elongated, so I found something that had a top and a bottom that was larger than the sides so that I could cover up that opening, but it would look like the opening of my window was shorter than it really is, or the opening behind it, I should say. So that worked out really nicely. And so once I had my window cut, I inked up all the edges there, and I used a paper that looked like a wood grain. And the next step I had to take was to find a background. So let me explain my idea first. So I thought that a background would be nice. That would be really pretty. I could work with that. But I also thought that it would be fun to have this rub on there. And I thought, what if I had the bird there and it would look like the bird is in the foreground, like the branch right outside the window with that backdrop of the swing and the tree in the background. And so I thought that might be really fun to do. So I'm going to attempt to do that, but I didn't want to rub that onto the picture because even though it's mostly opaque, I just really didn't want it to be stuck to the picture. I thought if I put it on acetate, maybe it'd give it a little bit more dimension and maybe not look so flat on there. So I don't know if that's really that's my theory. I don't know if that's actually going to work, but that's um, moving forward with that in mind. So, but I also wanted to make sure that I knew the placement of the bird in relation to the window and my image. So I wanted to get my image onto the card so that I could place the bird there and rub it on and then have the window in the perfect spot. So I needed to glue my picture on first, and the reason I'm so worried about it is you can see my image is shorter than the opening here. Now if my image took up this entire opening, I wouldn't have to worry about it. I just stick the image in there and then I could, you know, kind of see where the rub-on goes and then my window and get it all on there without worrying about it. So I'm just fitting the window where I want it. And oops, it moved. Now it's stuck to my finger there. So I put the frame where I want it, and then I have the acetate on my picture. But then once I did that, I just set it right there like that. Oops, I got a little crooked, but you can see, you know, what I'm trying to do here. So then I have the exact placement of where my picture goes under my card. And so then I can put everything in the correct place. So that's where I'm at to this point. And so my next step is to figure out where I want the birdie. And there is a swing in the background there. I know it's probably hard for you to see. So I want to figure out in relation to the window where I want my bird. And I kind of like that right there. So I'm going to do this off camera because I've never tried to rub on acetate before and I'm kind of nervous about it. So I'm going to do this off camera and I'll be right back. Okay, so it was a success and a failure at the same time. And the success was the rub-on works perfectly well on the acetate and it did what I thought or I was hoping it would do, and that it's giving it enough dimension that it looks like the bird is in the foreground and not stuck to the background. The failure was user error. That little edge was right above his head and I got too aggressive and I ripped his head. The little plastic piece came up and I rubbed his head off. I was able to get a piece back on, but it's like he's got a little crack in his head there, and then right next to his eyeball is a hole. I'm so disappointed, you guys. I'm so disappointed. It is what it is. So now I can go ahead and glue on my window. Um, and then I just got to decide. I think I'm going to go ahead and make it a pocket just because it gives it something to do for this page besides just sit there. And I can do some journaling on the back of a tag. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this on, and so I'm going to make a tag to go in here. So I have this pink paper here, this pink plaid. Okay, I'm going to figure out what's going on here before I cut the corners there. Okay, so I have finished my tag, and I decided just to make it so it's rounded on all four corners rather than do the angle on the top. It just fit better with the size of this picture, and I didn't want to trim it down anymore. But my thinking is this is the girl that lives in the house that looks out the window and sees the bird. And so that's my little storyline. So I just did a bit of collaging, and then I added the girl in the center and topped it with a little lace bow. And that will help me be able to pull that out. So I felt like I needed a bit more on the page. So I have this flower die cut, and I just decided I'd fold it over onto the next page because I really don't want to cover up the window, but I just want to add something a little more. And so I think that looks really pretty going across the book page, and that's kind of where I end up. I don't really feel like I need to add a lot of stuff to every single page, so I leave it like that for now. So if you know me and you've been following along, you know I like to add the bling. So I've got a little bit of turnip lace here on the bottom and some rhinestone gems. And so that is my window page. So I hope that you like it. I was so inspired by Inda at Rookie Journals. I hope you check out her video. The link is in the description box. And let me know what you think. I would love to know. And also let me know if you would have filled this page here, or would you just leave it blank like I've done so far. So I'm really interested to know your suggestions or your criticisms on that. I don't mind. And yeah, so I'd love to hear from you. I'd really appreciate it, whether you like it or not, if you give me that thumbs up. And that just lets me know that you're watching, and it's nicer than a thumbs down. And also, I hope that you would consider joining me for my upcoming videos. So make sure you hit that little bell there, and you can catch all my upcoming videos. So thanks so much for joining me. Bye.